What's up, everyone? Welcome back. It is playoff week, Giants versus Eagles week. I'm the Godfrey, and I got my man over here, Mean Gene. Tell him who you are, Gene.
Mean! Woo! Gene, how you feeling tonight, Godfrey? You ready for some Eagles playoff football?
Oh, I can't wait. It's Eagles Giants, my favorite rivalry. I hate the Cowboys, but I hate the Giants just a little bit more. It's a healthy hate. It's a different kind of hate, a different kind of respect. It's parochial, if you will. And I am excited about it. I can't wait for the Eagles to stomp a mud hole in them and then walk them dry. Maybe giving my prediction up early, but I don't give a shit. Stay in New Jersey.
The algorithm on my TikTok thinks I'm a Giants fan, or it knows I'm an Eagles fan, and they're trying to piss me off because I've been constantly watching that. Like, there's like TikTok videos where it's the miracle speech. They may beat us 9 times if we play them 10, but not tonight. Not because we're gonna shut them down because we can, and all that baloney. I think that's what the New York media is telling themselves, is that we're Russia and they're the United States. But it's not like that. We are way better than the New York Giants, and we're better at every position on the football field. Philadelphia Eagles today had a practice in which every single starter is practiced. That means Avonte Maddox, Lane Johnson, Avonte Maddox, no walking boot, Lane Johnson, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back at safety. Every starter is playing Saturday.
Maddox isn't confirmed, but the rumor is that he could be, right? I know he was seen with the walking boot off, participating on practice on the side, from what I understand.
Every single person he's a limited participant.
Limited participant, okay. Hey, man, that's huge. That makes it, you could do so many more things defensively when you have Avonte Maddox. You can go man. There's so many other things you could do just by having him out there. And the Eagles already, without him, already have a good secondary. Now it's even better. I mean, you got Gardner-Johnson, you got Maddox, Slay, Bradbury. I mean, you don't think Bradbury wants to give it to him? He wants to stick it to his old team in the most important of spots? Oh, yeah,
of course he does. I just look at this matchup and I think that, like, I know that the Giants fans have to trick themselves into believing that an upset is possible. But let me tell you, Eagles fans out there, and any Giants fan that walks into this chat or listens to this podcast, that the Giants don't have a snowball's chance in hell in this game. And I mean that when I say it. I think if Gardner Minshew took over for Jalen Hurts mid-game and Hurts left the game hurt, I think the Eagles still win this game by multiple possessions, at least 10 points. I look at this team up and down, and I do not find one advantage. And I say this, running back Saquon Barkley is better than Miles Sanders. But running game overall, I would take the Eagles running game. Anywhere else on the football field, I cannot find an advantage for the New York Giants. Defensive line, edge the Eagles. Linebackers, edge the Eagles. Secondary, edge the Eagles. Quarterback, stop it. Mike and Mad Dog wants to put Daniel Jones as his 4th best quarterback left in the playoffs. Stop it.
What?
Stop it.
Who's he better than then? Is he saying Purdy and Dak?
He's saying that he's better than Hurts. He listed it as, I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. He had Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Daniel Jones over. And then he had Hurts 5th and Trevor Lawrence 6th. And he had Daniel Jones 4th.
Well, listen, we'll get more into detail of that at 7 on Pre-Gaming Pigskin, I'm pretty sure, because that needs to be extrapolated. I mean, that's just madness right there. But okay, whatever. They're being a homer. I get it. We're going to turn the homer knob up a little bit today, but not in that way. We're going to talk top 3 Eagles playoff moments versus the Giants and top 3 Eagles playoff moments versus the Giants in the playoffs.
Not versus the Giants. Top 3 Eagles moments in the playoffs, and then top 3 Eagles moments versus the Giants. Big difference. We got a Giants fan in the chat, Eric Rosenblum. Shout him out. There's so much he wants to say. I would love you to say what you'd like to say. Eric, this is one of those days where I will get you a link And if you want to come on this show, that's fine. You can do that. Eric's a great guy, but he's a Giants fan. And this week during Giants week, we can't be friends, Eric. I love you. I appreciate you in the chat, but we can't be friends. He's an amazing individual, avid listener to Wire to Wire. I appreciate you listening to Birds Deep tonight. But I'm telling you right now, if you think that the Giants are in this game, I'll tell you right now, the fourth quarter won't matter. It won't matter. Philadelphia by
Nice.
21 plus. And we'll get into that.
I was worried about switching back and forth from the UFC pay-per-view, so that would be a relief not to be able to have to do that.
You won't have to.
So, yeah,
Get your second
that's
TV.
good news.
I'm an advocate of the second TV in the man room.
I have
You
the
gotta
2
have
TVs,
TV.
trust me.
So you're good.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's funny. And for me, it's a personal thing why I dislike the Giants more. It's really, with the Cowboys, I dislike the fans more than I dislike the Giants fans. But it's parochial, meaning I grew up in Central Jersey. You could be a Giants, you could be a Jets, or an Eagles fan. I was closest to the Eagles. My dad was an Eagles fan. I grew up a Birds fan. So all the other people were Giants and Jets fans. Jets rarely ever had anything to talk about. So, different division. But the Giants, though, whole different story. So I guess we'll kick off top 3 Giants moments. And I'll start off with my number 3 Eagles Giants moments. And my number 3, I don't know if you guys remember this. You're going to have to hang with me to go down memory lane. When the Eagles and the Giants were playing on a Monday night, Donovan McNabb was still there. Our number 1 receiver was James Thrash. The Eagles have been consistently getting beat by Big Blue in the playoffs and during the regular season. This is toward the beginning of the Andy Reid era. They decided to have a Monday night montage of NYPD Blue playing a scene saying, "We have a report of men in blue beating up men in green." Like, it was a whole montage right before the Monday Night Football game. Disrespectful as hell. I'm in a room with all Giants fans. I am the only Eagles fan there. Okay? It was a close game. It wasn't entertaining. It was a hard-hitting game, which a lot of those games were early on. Eagles ended up winning 10-9, but they were letting the Eagles hang around. It was 9-3 forever. 9-3, 9-3, 9-3. I kept saying, don't let them hang around. At the end of the game, Donovan takes them on a game-winning drive, and James Trash sticks it in there for the touchdown. I went out into the street yelling at the top of my lungs. I was so happy about it. The next day, I called up the sports radio, 94.1 at the time, and back in that time, streaming wasn't as evident. So even if you're from New York and you live down in a Philly area, you had to put on 94.1 WIP. They heard me talking trash about it on the radio. It was awesome. I felt vindicated. You remember that game, Gene?
Yeah, I do. But listen, this was too easy for me. When you asked me for 3, this was too easy for me because all 3 of them I distinctly remember. Number 3 for me is back in, I forget exactly what year, but you'll know the play immediately. Philadelphia Eagles are 1-2 on the verge of being 1-3, and they're losing to the Giants late in the fourth quarter. The Giants are punting the ball. They might have even been 2-4. It could have been 2-5 essentially, but the Eagles season was on the line, and they were losing to the Giants. And there was a punt made to one Brian Westbrook, who took it down the left sideline into the end zone for the go-ahead touchdown. And the Philadelphia Eagles won that game, salvaged their season, and went all the way to the NFC Championship game that season. The season that we were almost writing off. We'd have lost that game to the Giants. We would have been 1-4 or 2-5 or whatever that scenario was. But the Eagles started the season super slow, and Brian Westbrook returned the punt. The punt heard round the world to win the game versus the New York Giants.
One of the many miracles in the Meadowlands. Oh, here it is. 10-3.
Oh, he's got the no, this is not it. This is it.
No, that's it. 10-7.
Yep.
That's Jeff Fiegels back there.
Here it is. 10-7, a minute 31 left. Brian Westbrook off the corner, takes it down the left sideline, and there he goes.
Brian
and you're not going to catch him.
I remember this
love
play.
It, Mike.
I'm going to tell you what I was doing during this game. I was sitting next to my then stepfather, who is from Brooklyn, who is a Giants fan, who was giving it to me the whole time. He was like, this game is over. This game is over. that happened, I looked at him, I was like, "You're over," and I walked out. I was like, "Eagles win!" Dude, I was so hyped about that. I remember that. That game was so significant because they started off the season 1-3, one of the worst losses we've seen in recent memory. I believe they lost to the Buccaneers and the Patriots in the beginning of that season. Not what Eagles fans were looking for, and, that definitely jump started the season for sure.
100%.
Great memory.
All right, let me get my number 2, and then you go number 2. Mike, if
Okay.
you can look this one up, it's the 61-yard walk-off field goal for Jake Elliott versus the New York Giants. Carson Wentz says if he hits this, I'm gonna give him my game check. Walk-off field goal, 2017 season, Jake Elliott. You can get that one up, I'll be super piped. But that was my number 2. Oh, there it is. If he hits this, I'm gonna give him my game check.
Just
It's
inside the 20.
good. You see Odell Beckham Jr. standing under the goalpost as the Eagles celebrate the walk-off field goal win, uh, continuing that season, and that was their Super Bowl season. That was 2017. We were 1-1. We had lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in week 2. We had won week 1, and that was 2017. That was one of the best seasons. That was the
I
best
was in
season
the,
in Eagles history.
I was in the parking lot for that game of the stadium. I was doing a pregame show for an older station, and I remember hearing that roar was so loud. It was so crowded that day. Everybody so excited. It was the most made me never want to drive down to an Eagles game again. Actually, I'll walk all the way from Roxborough if I have to because that's how bad it was. I could have got there quicker, but that was awesome. That was awesome. I couldn't believe that 61 yards. I'm like, what? And he nailed it too, man. He nailed it. So
If he
my
hits
number
this
two.
kick, I'll give him my game check.
Give him my game check, yeah. So, my number 2, and I'm gonna go old school here. Um, I got my number 1 somewhere else. I bet you I wonder me and Gene are gonna have the same number 1,
We
but that's
will.
okay.
You have to.
But
You have to.
my number 2, alright, is gonna be old school, Concrete Charlie.
Ooh.
And let me give you let me give you a little now this isn't playoffs technically, they won the conference, or they they didn't really have playoffs back in the day. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gene. You would win the conference and then, there'd be a championship game. Uh, so this was Eagles, Giants. Uh, Frank Gifford was the running back for the Giants at the time. And the description on this thing kills me because I'll read it to you. It's called The Hit, and it's a very iconic photo, and he clobbered the hell out of him, right? One of the most devastating hits in NFL history, not the rivalry history between the Eagles and the Giants. The game for first place in the Eastern Conference in 1960, Hall of Famer Chuck Bednarik, the 6'3" linebacker known as Concrete Charlie, delivered a massive blow to Giants Hall of Fame halfback Frank Gifford, used to be married to Kathy Gifford. The hit, which happened in the fourth quarter, left Gifford unconscious. Gifford had to leave the game on a stretcher. He was diagnosed with a deep brain concussion. This is way back in the day, okay? So this is like 19 I mean, deep brain concussion. Didn't even know what CTE was then, right? Um, and he didn't return to the Giants till 18 months later, right? Gifford fumbled on the play. Eagles recovered the ball and won that game, and later on won the 1960 game. Now I'm gonna give you a little folklore, right? He says, Concrete Charlie says, he thought he killed him. Apparently, a guy died in the stands. And Frank Gifford's wife, Kathy Gifford, thought that might have been Frank because they had to carry Frank off of the stretcher, but they also had to carry the guy off the stands that died of a heart attack in the stretcher. She thought he killed him, literally. So this is folklore that has been corroborated because Concrete Charlie went alive, loved telling this story. And it is the hit. That's my number 2 for Eagles Giants.
So wow, this is it?
Oh, you got it. Well, Mike might get some kudos for pulling this one up. Bam! I know it doesn't
Oh,
look as tough, but
wow.
I mean,
Oh, man.
he 18 months, he put him on the injured reserve. So
I'm a little mad at you, though, God.
why?
'Cause I'm assuming your number 1 is one of the 2 well, there's 3 Miracle in the Meadowlands. Well, I've already
Right.
played one, but I'm assuming your number 1 is one of the 2.
Could be.
Okay.
It is.
So what do I have to do? Do I have to do the other one for you? Because my number one was going to be the Michael Vick comeback, the
Yeah.
Matt Dodge punt, Deshaun Jackson. Is that yours?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'll use the other one because I want both played. I want Giants fans watching this podcast and remembering it all. Give me the Miracle of the Meadowlands Part 1. And if when Mike pulls it up, I will walk you through the play and exactly what they were doing. The Giants were running the clock out. They were kept there was no kneel down back then. 1984, 85, somewhere around that area.
No. I think it was 78. Might have been 78
78.
actually. Yeah, because
Miracle of the
the
Meadowlands,
significance of
Herm Edwards.
the significance was this, Gene. They hadn't been in the playoffs for years, and that helped them get into the playoffs.
This is Miracle of the
This
Meadowlands Part 3.
is
Yeah, I'm
part
talking about
3.
Part 1.
We got part
Get
1.
that one ready because we're gonna be using that one
Say
in a second.
put Herm Edwards Miracle in the Meadowlands. If you can't find it, I got it for you. But yeah, that the significance of that was the beginning, slightly after the beginning of the Dick Vermeil era. They haven't really made the playoffs yet. They needed to make it. Joe Pisarcik was the quarterback for the New York Football Giants, who actually later became an Eagle. All you had to do was hand it over. I didn't know there weren't kneel downs back then. That's a good little factoid you put out there, Gene. I didn't
That's
even
why they
know about that.
started kneel downs because of this game.
Mhm.
And I
Really?
believe the running back they were handing it was to fullback Larry Zonka.
Yeah, if you can't find it, Mike, I got it. So
It's an incredible play, and it's how the kneel down started in the NFL because the Philadelphia Eagles were losing in that game, and the Giants wanted to punish them by running the ball up the middle with the fullback and punish the Eagles defenders while they were losing the game. How
mm.
we looking, Mike?
Finding every number but number 1.
No, put Herm Edwards Miracle in the Meadowlands. You'll find it.
All right.
Yeah, Herm Edwards, Miracle in the Meadowlands.
I was good up until now.
No, you were great.
Sorry, Mike. For a non-football fan, I'm giving you A+ for that one.
A plus, triple A plus. What's
Yeah.
up, Coach? How you feeling, Coach Dante? We're actually going over our favorite Eagles Giants moments of all time. You might want to stay and watch these next two, Coach.
Yeah, Godfrey, if you have it, send it over. I'll pull it up.
All right, we'll play the other one, Miracle to Meadowlands Part 3, because this is me and Godfrey's both number one, which Mike had on the screen. It's the Deshaun Jackson return punt off of Matt Dodge, and I will set the stage for you. The Philadelphia Eagles were down in this game 31-10 in the fourth quarter. Michael Vick took them back touchdown drive after touchdown drive until the game was tied at 31. When Matt Dodge was told punt the ball out of bounds and go to overtime after the Eagles stopped them on 3 and out.
Dealing with commercials. I apologize.
You're good.
And YouTube.
So Deshaun Jackson was waiting back, and here's the play. Oh, this is the whole game. You don't need the whole game.
No, I got Mike. I sent you. I'll tell you. I just sent you the
Oh, all the way to the end, Mike. Go to 16 minutes and 31-31. Here's the sack. Stay right here. It's fine. Incomplete pass on second down. Third down comes the sack. I remember this game like it was yesterday. I told you to score right without looking at it. He gets stuffed in the pocket. Eli Manning makes the poop face. It's 3rd and 16. There's 13 seconds remaining on the clock when Matt Dodge kicks this ball. 12. I was very close. This is off the dome.
side
Matt
note. I once
Dodge.
saw Trevor Laws at Show and Tell. Go ahead.
Coughlin is yelling at him, kick the ball out of bounds, give it nowhere near Deshaun Jackson. And now, here comes the Miracle of the Meadowlands Part 3. And
I get
one of the
chills.
biggest comebacks, definitely the biggest comeback in Eagles Giants history.
No, if we had
Yeah,
the
they
audio, it'd
moved
be
it to
great. But
14
whatever.
seconds. I don't know why I got 13 stuck on my head, but they moved it to 14 seconds. Here it is. The snap, Dodge kicks it. He's trying to kick it right out of bounds. He misses it. Goes down the middle. It bounces off Deshaun Jackson's hand. He picks it up. He makes 2 people miss. He makes another guy miss. The block heard around the world. Deshaun Jackson goes. The time's running out. He's dancing around. He's not in the end zone yet. He checks the time.
I'll be
walks
Mike quick.
a walk-off touchdown. 37-31 Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah, I remember that too, again, because I had a lot of friends from Staten Island, and they were texting me. They're like, "What's going on here? What's going on?" The whole game. And I kept hitting once Michael Vick turned it on, 'cause there's a lot to that comeback. They were down 31-7 at one point with about 8 minutes left in the 4th quarter, I believe. And, a lot of things happened, and I kept hitting him with the Mike Singletary quote, "Hey, this is my kind of party." And I did radio silence after that, radio silence. It was the best ever. That season was peak Michael Vick, and he didn't really win anything for us play-wise, but he gave us one of the best comebacks you're ever gonna see. I mean, he was magical in that 4th quarter. You wanna talk about a guy that took the team and then just carried him on the back, and then Deshaun did that. Do you think now, does he return that punt, Gene, if he doesn't drop that ball? I kinda feel like
No,
it
they
threw
overran
the
it.
special teams off.
They
They
overran
overran
it.
it, and he's so fast that they had no shot at catching up back to him.
Mike,
Alright,
I'm
pull up the other
sending you
one. You
this.
got it now, Mike.
I just sent it. I just sent him the YouTube link for it.
I sent him
Oh,
the
he's
one
got
too.
it.
Yeah, he's
Perfect.
got it.
So here's the other one I was so mad Godfrey didn't use. Now look at this. It's 2nd and 13. They're basically they're running the clock out. They're handing the ball off to the fullback to punish the Philadelphia Eagles defenders. And he fumbles the snap. And there's Herm Edwards picking it up. There he goes. Eagles win. The creator of the kneel down, Herm Edwards. Remember the line. You play to win the
Win the
game.
game. The quote man was, "I don't believe it." It's
I
it
don't
was,
believe what I just saw. I never heard him
unbelievable.
sound more like uh that Mickey Mouse. I never heard him sound more like that. I don't believe what I just saw.
Yeah, and they were
Incredible.
excited because remember, the Eagles were in the dark days of the franchise before Dick Vermeil got there. You talk to people that are older around that time, like, after the '60 championship, it was shit year after shit year after shit year after shit year, and that's, by the way, coincidentally, that's where most of your cockroach Cowboy fans in Philadelphia came from because they didn't stick with the team when they were in a down year. They're like, "I'll just root for the Cowboys or the Steelers." Yeah, I'm calling you out too, Steelers fans. And that's like, "Well, where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from, South Philly." "Hardcore Steelers fan, hardcore Dallas fan." No, your dad was a front runner. That's what happened, and it's the damn
Have no
truth.
fear, Timmy Todd. Have no fear. Saquon Barkley will not be terrorizing Eagles fans this week. I promise you that.
Imagine if Saquon was behind the Eagles' offensive line, though.
Oh man,
Be
we make that
be
trade,
ridiculous.
Miles for Saquon.
Yeah.
Think the Giants will do that?
No.
All right, now
Question
we
is, does
got
it get
top 3 playoff moments, man. We already rubbed salt in the wounds for the Giants. We're in the playoffs now, man. Top 3 moments in the playoffs for the Philadelphia Eagles. We're putting Mike to work tonight. Listen, Mike, you've been getting 45, 50-minute shows, but you're definitely working hard for them. I appreciate you. You want to go first or should I?
I'll go first, and I'm gonna dip my toe in the Eagles-Giants rivalry again, but I'm using a playoff game.
I love it.
So, I'm gonna run it in there. A lot of people remember this. It was, 2006 Eagles versus Giants. Jeff Garcia was the quarterback, and there was a run that I've always remembered, and it was the 49-yard TD run by Brian Westbrook. And that pretty much I think that's a two they won 23-20, but I never felt like the game was that close. It was close, it was a hard-hitting game. It was also coincidentally Tiki Barber's last game as a, Eagle. I mean, sorry, as a Eagle. As a Giant. How dare I say that? My apologies, Eagles fan. My apologies.
Oh,
But
this
that
is the
is
pull away.
yeah, that's the one.
You got to replay the run.
Yeah, this is the punt.
That's the
He's got the
miracle to
punt.
Meadowlands.
No.
Yeah, this is not it.
2006 Eagles playoff 49-yard run TD.
Okay, this is you don't need
I had
this.
all
This
these
is
links, and they
Godfrey.
just don't wanna
Godfrey, you
work.
don't need this one. There's no specific one for this one. You don't need this one. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Let me give Mike one. I'll give Mike one to look up. You don't need to worry about that one, Mike. I just want you
You
to
found it.
type in. Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did he?
Mike, you found it, right? No, you're not. All right, you're fired on that one. That's not your
Westford
fault
again. This
anyway.
is the punt return. Miracle or
Yeah.
Meadowlands part 2.
We'll go to the next one. What's your number 3, Gene?
Just type in 4th and 26, Mike. 4th and 26. The Eagles were playing
Yeah,
the Green Bay
if that doesn't
Packers.
come up.
It'll come up right away. The Eagles were playing the Green Bay Packers. They were done. The Packers were going to the NFC Championship game. The game was over. Donovan McNabb down 3 points, a minute 12 left in the fourth quarter. McNabb drops back. He's got time in the pocket. He fires the ball across the middle to Fred X, who all this man does is thank his hands. Freddie Mitchell, number 84 on the Philadelphia Eagles. First down. Eagles getting field goal range. They win the game in overtime after Brett Favre threw a, I don't know what kind of pass up to Brian Dawkins. And the Eagles won this game 20-17 in overtime. That's my number 3.
I remember that, man. I was losing my damn mind. I couldn't just contain myself. I couldn't even believe that happened. What were the Packers thinking? Fred X, you know, first round bust overall, but he gave the Eagles fans a couple good moments, and that was one of them. So, you got to thank him for that. But that's hilarious, man. 4th and 26, man. That was nuts. And this is pre Eagles winning the Super Bowl, so that was huge because we're going on in the playoffs. So let me see. I got my number. So we don't have to, I mean, I could pull plenty of Eagles playoff moments out of there. So there's plenty. So we're just doing Eagles playoff moments, right? Top 3.
Correct. I got my 3, man. If you want me to go again, I don't mind.
I got my 3. Go ahead. Go again.
All right. So my number 2 is 2004, the Eagles versus the Falcons. NFC Championship game. Mike Vick versus Donovan McNabb. I was at the game. When you see this video clip, you'll see me in the corner of the end zone that Chad Lewis caught the touchdown that gave the Eagles the lead. In that game, Brian Dawkins absolutely destroys Algie Crumpler in the middle of the field. That's my number 2. It's Eagles versus Falcons, 2004 NFC Championship game. Dawkins destroys Crumpler. Chad Lewis with the huge touchdown in the corner of the end zone. And we watched the Philadelphia Eagles go to the Super Bowl without T.O. That was the T.O. year. T.O. got hurt that year, broke his ankle in week 14 or 13. This is 2000. This is it right here. 12 minutes of highlights. You can kind of speed through a little of this. But go right to the end, almost to the end. This is the beginning of it. Actually, this might be a huge play. That might be a crump. This is the
play.
Touchdown to my corner. I'm in that corner. That's me right there in that corner. I'm dancing around in that corner of the end zone. It was incredible.
I remember that. Didn't he break his foot on that play too?
I don't care. That's me in the corner. That's me. With the glasses on. I'm kidding. That wasn't me. But I was in the corner of that end zone. I hope this is the Algie Crumpler hit. I know it's not.
Yeah, that was earlier on in the game. That was earlier on in the game. I remember that hit. It was still daylight out.
Crumpler got beaten like he stole something.
And it snowed its ass off the day before in Philly too. Snowed its ass off. I remember.
It was cold out there that day.
Oh hell yeah, it was cold. That was getting over the hump.
2004. I was 19 years old. And I spent $450 on my ticket to go see the Eagles play in the NFC Championship game. I was 19 years old, and it was one of the funnest things. I'll never forget it. I watched the speeches afterwards. I mean, you're there for an hour and a half after the game, listening to them get the NFC Championship trophy, all of them talking about how they're going to go and beat New England in the Super Bowl, which we know would happen the following 2 weeks later. But T.O. came back in that Super Bowl, but man, I just can't. That was one of the coolest moments of me being an Eagles fan. 19 years old, man.
I can't remember. Is the Super Bowl off limits? Like, did we agree to that, or is it not?
It's off limits. We know that's everybody's number 1.
With Trump. Right. So I'm gonna go old school on my second one because I want to mix it up here. I'm gonna throw a curveball because I don't think Gene was going here. I'm gonna go 1960 NFL Championship. That was.
There's no videos of this.
There is a video of it. Mike, I guarantee if you looked up 1960 NFL Championship final hit Eagles, it will come up. but I'll describe it for you. I'll do my best to paint the picture. It's Eagles versus Packers. Vince Lombardi was Vince Lombardi at this point. He has not lost a playoff game ever. The Eagles gave him his only playoff loss ever in coaching. Franklin Field, 1960, December 26th. I remember it like it was yesterday. So, there's a lot of highlights here, but fast forward to the end and you'll find it. So basically what happens toward the end, um, Jim Taylor, Hall of Fame running back, gets the ball. They're going to do the power sweep, whatever they're doing, hits him over the middle, and he punches down at the ground. And according to Concrete Charlie says, this effing game is over. And they win the championship. That was one of my favorite because for a while, this was the only championship. Well, not the only, but the most recent championship. So I like my history, and that's something I like to talk about.
The
So
play right here, actually.
is that the bite? No, no, no. It might be. Look
Goes
at that
across
high
the middle, he gets
definition
cracked.
quality.
Boom, here it comes. Concrete. Swings him down to the ground on a 4th down. That's the play.
Was that 4th down?
Yes, sir.
So listen, that's my number 2. Iconic moment for the Eagles. Went old school there, so that way we mix it up because listen, let's give you some variety here. There's a lot of good playoff moments.
Well, my man Danny Dempsey already mentioned this. January 21st, 2018. The Philadelphia Eagles are playing the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship game. The Vikings go down and score and make this game 7-0 before you can blink an eye. 7-0 Vikings. This was the week after the Minneapolis Miracle. The Vikings are up 7-0. The Eagles get stuffed, 3 and out. The Vikings are getting the ball back again. They go up 14-0 in the NFC Championship game. This Philadelphia Eagles team might be in a little bit of trouble. Kirk Cousins drops back. Chris Long puts the hit on. Cousins throws the ball across the field, and there's Patrick Robinson. Across the field, running across the field, pick 6, 7-7, and the Eagles didn't look back once. In a 38-7 thumping of the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship game. This is one of the touchdowns to Alshon Jeffrey. Here goes a field goal, or maybe an extra point. I don't know.
It was Case Keenum, though. I know they do play similar in big spots. Kirk Cousins and Case Keenum.
Right here. This is a pick right here. This is an interception right here. Keenum drops back. Give me that. We'll take that.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember that game because it started out 7-0, and you're like, shit, man. I didn't really give up hope. And then when Patrick Robinson took it to the house, beginning of the game, I was like, oh, it's on. It's on. And my favorite memory is one of my good friends who's a Cowboys fan. We can't all have good taste. He was bartending. I was there. And, he was smiling because it was 7-0. I looked at him and was like, you know what's happening. They're going to win this fucking game. And he was like, son of a bitch. And it was awesome. It was on like Donkey Kong from that. And the Vikings didn't know I hit them at that point. And that game was really important for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl because that's when Nick Foles went Super Saiyan and got white hot and started playing. Because up until then, he was kind of mediocre, and then he just turned it on. The flea flicker, the Torrey Wilson, you name it. There was all kinds of stuff.
It's funny that you say that because a lot of people remember the 2017-2018 season completely wrong. They say Nick Foles just came in and picked up where Carson Wentz left off. That's not what happened. He threw 4 touchdowns versus the Giants the week after the injury. But the last 3 weeks of the season, he was bad. They played the Raiders. They won a game on Monday Night Football. It was like 13-degree weather. They played terrible in that game. They couldn't move the ball at all. I think they won the game like 7-6. Something disgusting. They even threw him out there the last week of the season versus the Cowboys to try to get the momentum rolling, and he looked awful in that game. Then, and people are calling for Nate Sudfeld to come in. Then the third game in a row where he looked bad was versus the Atlanta Falcons. The Eagles were playing the Falcons, and the Falcons were favored in that game. The whole panel took the Falcons. They're losing the football game at this time. Nick Foles throws a ball over the middle that's directly to Keanu Neal. You couldn't have threw this ball any better to the Falcons safety. It's off his
Yeah.
knee, and the Eagles get the reception off Keanu Neal's knee. And then after that, the Eagles took the lead and didn't look back. They stopped Julio Jones around the goal line. I believe the final score of that game was something like 15-10. It was a weird,
Yeah.
ugly score.
It was an ugly game. I remember
And
that
then
game
the
too.
next week versus Minnesota, everyone said Minnesota was going to beat us because how bad we looked the last 3 weeks. We beat Minnesota and we bludgeoned them. And then went to the Super Bowl, and Nick Foles just white hot from maybe the second quarter of the NFC Championship game, all 4 quarters of the Super Bowl. My man played 7 straight flawless quarters of football. Look at that, 15-10. Danny Dempsey,
Yep.
I don't miss.
It's crazy because that game I remember specifically. I was in the Dominican Republic at a resort, and I was watching the Vikings game with all of these Viking fans. I don't know why. Just there was a lot of Vikings fans there. A lot of people from Minnesota. There were a few Eagles fans, and I was standing next to some Eagles fans that were lunatics. They were like, "Man, I hope the Saints here. I'd rather play Drew Brees." I'm like, "Are you out of your mind? You'd rather play Drew Brees than Case Keenum? What is wrong with you?" Like I went off on these people. I was like, you know what? Flag this guy. No more drinks for him. Okay. And so that happened for the Vikings, I was cheering like I was a Vikings fan. I was like, yes, we get the Vikings. I don't want to see Drew Brees. And they played and I couldn't believe that happened. It was nuts. I have video of it somewhere. I've never seen so many Viking fans all going nuts at once. But watching that Eagles game, I remember because I found the one fucking Falcons fan and the whole resort had to be next to me. This big dude with a Julio Jones shirt on. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? And he looked so dejected at the end of the game, but he's a Falcons fan, so he was like, "Oh, it's cool, man." I was like, "Listen,
I'm used to being a
better team won
loser. I
today.
get it.
Yeah, your team loses, that's okay." And that game was ugly as shit. It was ugly. So
Terrible.
you, Junior said it best. Wentz won the season. Foles won the playoffs. That's the best way to put it. And that's the way that season went. And it was a one-off, and it was a goddamn miracle the way it happened because the game that I remember where I was like, "Oh shit, we're in trouble," and I know it was really cold that night was the Raiders game. I believe it was on Christmas, and I was like, "We look bad." They won it, but it was a struggle.
Godfrey,
So
Godfrey. I need to get my I can't I gotta get this off my chest. I have to. That's
okay,
exactly what I want you to leave that up there for a minute. I want to read that out loud and I want to respond to it with my prediction. My friend Eric Rosenblum, who I love. Gene, we are friends and I support you and your show. I only ask what happens if you guys lose Saturday night. Week 18, you only won by 6 points against the JV squad, and the Eagles had all their starters in. Do you know what vanilla ice cream is? The Philadelphia Eagles were up 19-0 in that game. They didn't want to show the Giants anything. There's a chance that they might play them in the playoffs. We did not have all our starters in. Lane Johnson did not play, but that's not the point. The last time we played the Giants fully healthy was in New York. I don't want to have to remind you how bad that game was, Eric. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. That was a bad game for you guys in New York. Well, you had everybody, and we had everybody. We dominated. That's okay. Junior, I hope you're listening. Eric, I hope you're listening. I guarantee the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, guarantees Philadelphia Eagles win this Saturday. And I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be close. I don't know what you're looking for in this game. Quarterback, edge the Eagles. Running back, edge the Giants. Rest of the team, edge to Philadelphia. Offensive line, wide receivers. Defensive line, linebacker, secondary, kicker, coach, ownership, franchise, whatever. The Philadelphia Eagles are the better football team. Stop kidding yourself. Philadelphia by 21 plus. Eagles win 31-10. And in the fourth quarter, you can turn on the UFC because this one will be over. Avante
unless
Maddox
you
might
got
be,
two TVs.
Vontae Maddox might be back. Lane Johnson will be back. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's back. Jalen Hurts is healthy. A.J. Brown is healthy. And the Giants have receivers named Isaiah Hodgins,
Don't
Kenny
forget Josh Sweat.
Golladay. Are you out of your friggin' mind? I hope Dable thinks you're ready. But I'm telling you right now, I'm glad Sheilai's bringing his ass to Philadelphia for this playoff game. I'm super happy that you Giants fans think you have a glimmer of hope. It's not happening. Eagles 31,
Sheilai.
Giants 10.
Can I give you a stat about Sheilai Manning?
Sure, you can.
He didn't make the playoffs often, but when he did, 2 out of 3 times he lost to the Eagles, just to let you guys know. Both times. That would be in 09 and in 06. So the 06 season, 2007 to be exact. So Sheilai has never been successful. So he might be coming to be the mush because he's never had any luck in Philadelphia ever when it comes to the playoffs. Never, ever. Now, I do think it's funny that Giants fans are doing that. And I get it. You're trying to get hyped up, trying to, root for your home team, find reasons why they could win, find an in, find an edge. The sports talk's getting you hyped up. But here's the fact of the matter. Do you not think that the Eagles were perhaps playing a little bit of a conservative game plan because they felt you had your JV squad in, so they didn't need to open the full arsenal to beat your JV squad and secure the number 1 spot? Did you happen to think of that? Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, Jalen Hurts is really hurt. No, that's not why. That's not why. They wanted to get him out there. He was ready to play. He's been ready to play since then. He's not on the injury report. And they were showing a vanilla game plan. And they weren't going to show them anything because they knew they were probably projecting that they could be facing the Giants based off the playoff matchups, based off the Vikings having a record-setting point differential where they won so many games by less than 1 score and were outscored. So the odds are a lot of people, even non-Giants fans, were picking the Giants to upset the Vikings. And lo and behold, I think the Eagles coaching staff and coaches were preparing for that, and they weren't going to give plays away that they can use against you this week. And that's the truth of the matter if we're talking the X's and O's, and you're taking the fandom and emotions out of it. Am I right, Gene? Am I wrong?
Oh, you're absolutely correct. I don't want to. And if you could pull something up, because we're about to wrap up shortly, but I just want you to pull up one more quick video for me. Mike, I beg of you for this one. Just put Coach Yost speaking to his defense. Remember the Titans. It's Coach Yost. And I want to replay. And this is, if I'm Jonathan Gannon, and Jonathan Gannon's not as smart as I am. He's not as good as I am. That's okay. But if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, this is 100% what I'm saying. If I'm Jonathan Gannon, what I'm saying to their defense. We line up, man. We play cover 1 with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson as the lone safety in the middle of the field, and you blitz, and you blitz, and you blitz. Because I don't want them to gain another yard. If they gain a yard, I'm taking every single one of you guys out of this football. The Giants should not be able to run the football. You play press man coverage with Slay, Bradbury, and Avonte Maddox, and you do not let the Giants sniff downfield. You got that video?
Yeah,
There it is.
this ain't the Vikings.
Second half is our time. We're going to make some changes on defense. They're spreading us out too far. We're going to put Sunshine, Allen,
That's Trevor Lawrence.
Davis. You're going to play both ways. Rest of the game. I don't want a receiver to get across that line of scrimmage. Coach Yost will tell you where you're playing, all right? Let's go. It's our time. Everybody in. Our time, our time, our time. Titans on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Choose? Gonna go 52 months. Well, I know that's all you need to know. All right, we're going zone, Allen.
Sir, I can play with Roosevelt, but I cannot play with these guys. No, I tell you what, I didn't want him the bench all year so I could watch us go down.
This is not the spot.
Put Petey.
If you don't mind just trying one more thing for me, just put, I don't want them to gain another yard. That's all I want you to put. I promise it.
That was in the beginning of that, though, wasn't it?
No. because it's right after they're losing in that game. The second half of the game is the state championship. But I I don't want them to gain another yard speech.
So
And that's
you
where
got
I
to
kind of want to end my good.
you got to counterfeit green this week too, right? Because I got a good
Here
one.
comes. This is it right here. Speed up about a minute, not even.
Before
Right there.
God,
A little bit
I
more.
swear I'll see every last one of you.
There
If
it
they
is.
cross the line of scrimmage, I'm gonna take every last one of you out. You make sure
They remember the night they played the Eagles in Philadelphia.
Leave no doubt.
You can watch this one play right here because this is what's going to look like all Saturday night. Bang! You want to go around the corner? Sorry. Hassan Reddick's there.
You better make yourself comfortable down there.
All right, you're good. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, Josh Sweat's
I'm
supposed to be
too
back
hyped,
too, right?
man.
That's
I'm too hyped.
That's our only guy with no big deal. One of our multiple 10-set guys on the defensive line this year. No big deal. He'll be back. He's like our fourth defensive and no big deal. I mean, listen, I got a counterfeit green. Let's break it out. I got a good
Yeah.
one. I got a
Break it out.
real good one. I've been hearing this talk about playing a team 3 times in a season. And I'm here to bust this myth for you. Everybody says it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. Giants fans are talking about it because that's the rallying cry. This is why we have a shot. Well, I have to break the bad news to you because it's counterfeit green. Mike, did you throw the graphic up there? Did I miss it? You put the counterfeit
He
green?
already did. He had it.
It's official. It's official now, guys. It's official. And let me give you some real stats so I can break your myth, okay? In 24 playoff games, including the win over Seattle, the sweeping team is 15-9, a solid 625 winning percentage. That's including Seattle and San Francisco, okay? Because they beat them 3 times. The numbers tilt even more heavily. The 684 winning percentage when the team going for the sweep is the home team at 13-6, which indicates they're also the better team in the regular season and winning the home, and the home set was not by happenstance. So that kind of blows that out the water, wouldn't you say, Gene, about playing a team
Ooh.
3 times in a season? Because I've been
I
hearing
just
that a
know if
lot.
I just know if I'm playing a 14-year-old in basketball, I don't care how many times I play them, I'm going to win. Okay? Make it very simple. I don't want to hear this third time. It's tough to beat a team 3 times. That's what you tell yourself to get hyped for a game. The Eagles are saying we're the better football team. We've already beat these guys. We're going to beat them again.
Yeah. I don't think the Eagles ever have lost to the Giants at home in the playoffs, too. It's been about 4 games total in the playoffs. Last time the Eagles lost in the playoffs, and I have an exact date for you, I'm on my shit tonight, was on 1981. And they beat the Eagles in a wild card game. So, it's been a while. I was born in 1981, long time ago. So, yeah, there's that. So, you want to drop the predictions, Gene, for scores and path to the win real quick? Because I know we got to get out of here to the other show.
I already told you, 31-10 Eagles. I don't have anything else to say.
31-10. I'm going give the Giants one more touchdown. I'm going to go 34-17 Eagles. 34-17. I'll give them 20. Give them 20. Get a few field goals in there. 34-20 Eagles. They win by 2 touchdowns.
I got them by 3, 21 plus.
Yeah.
Exactly. But Junior, that's what it looks like when the Eagles play the Giants at full strength. It looks like a grown man going up against a 14-year-old because that's what the Giants are going to look like Saturday night. Remember that.
But by the way, listen,
My guy,
Daniel Jones has looked better. However, don't believe the hype as Public Enemy says because he played the Minnesota Vikings. Everybody.
Yeah, they were
looks
only
good against
32nd
Vikings
in the
this year.
league in pass defense and 32nd
Yeah.
in the league in run defense. They're the worst defense in the NFL, and we're going to talk about Daniel Jones made some money. I hope to God the Giants pay that man. Pay that man his money so we can win the division
Give
for
him
the next
5
5
years. Give him 5 years. Please give him 5 years. I'm begging him. Yeah,
We going on
and
the pregame
he's
and
played better.
pigskin, boys.
But listen, we'll talk more about this point. I got a dark horse from the Giants to become a coach for a team on the next show on Pregame and Pigskin. We'll be on Sports Empire Network. We'll share it out. It gets shared to Birds Deep. Gene shares it everywhere, so there's no reason you can't find it. He shares it on your
Sure.
mom's page. He shares it. He shares it
do.
on your mom's garage sale page. So you will find us. I guarantee it. So we'll see you over there. Thanks for listening. I'm hyped for the playoffs. We said everything we got to say. Ray Gene, you good? I'm good.
I'm fired up.
Thanks for
Let's go.
listening. Thanks for tuning in. See you Saturday night. Follow us, like us. And this is the Godfrey and Gene. Not saying goodbye, just saying take it Birds Deep.
Thank you, Mike. You were awesome tonight.